All right, if you're a project controls apprentice, you've definitely heard of K2, right? It can feel like this huge, intimidating thing, but don't worry. In this explainer, we are going to completely demystify it. We're going to break down project governance and the project lifecycle into simple, practical steps so you can walk away feeling totally confident and ready for anything.
So, to make this real, let's follow a story. Let's meet Jody. She's a level 6 project controls apprentice at a company called Ibis Stores. Think of her as our main character. She's smart, she's driven, and she's right where you might be, at the start of her journey to becoming a pro. We're going to follow her every step of the way.
And what's her mission? Well, it's a big one. It's a quest to totally master the K2 knowledge requirement. But, this isn't just about ticking a box or passing a test. It's about her becoming a true project controls professional, someone who can step into any project, guide it with confidence, and make a real, measurable impact.
And every good quest needs a map, right? Here's ours. We'll start with her mentor, Adam, who's got the map to the core principles. Then, we'll see how she applies it all at work with her manager, Riddle. After that, her coach, Olivia, will show us how to prove what we know. Then, we'll get ready for the final challenge, the EPA, and we'll finish by packing our very own professional toolkit. Okay, let's dive in. First stop on our quest, we're meeting Jody's mentor, Adam. He's the expert, the one with the map, who's going to lay down the foundation of K2. This is where we learn the all-important why behind everything a project controller does.
So, what even is K2 knowledge? Well, think of it like this. Anyone can follow a recipe, but a real chef, they understand why each ingredient is there, how it all works together. K2 is that why. It's that professional level understanding that lets you apply controls with real judgment, supporting solid governance, and helping leaders make smart, informed decisions.
Every project has a journey, right? A life cycle. It starts with the concept, where you're just setting up your controls and baselines. Then you move into definition, where you start refining things, really digging into the risks. Next up is delivery. This is where you're all about monitoring and forecasting. And finally, you hit closure, where you're looking back, evaluating performance, and learning lessons. Your role is critical in every single one of these stages.
Now, this is absolutely crucial to get. Your focus as a controller isn't static. It has to change as the project moves forward. In those early stages, you're like a guardian of the baseline, sniffing out any potential risks. But later on, you're all about forecasting accuracy and analyzing trends. Being able to make that shift is what separates the pros from the amateurs.
So why does this matter so much? Because mastering K2 is the difference between a project that just gets done and one that truly succeeds. It means your controls aren't overkill or undercooked. They're just right. It props up governance and accountability, makes the future way more predictable, helps you spot trouble before it starts, and maybe most importantly, it builds huge confidence with the people who are funding the whole thing.
All right, so Jody's got the map from Adam, the theory is making sense, but how does this stuff actually work in the real world? It's time to put it into practice. Her line manager, Rital, is going to show her exactly how to apply these K2 principles in her day-to-day job at Ibis Stores.
So Riddle lays out this awesome 4-step pathway for Jody. First, she says you've got to understand the principles, the why. Second, you have to connect that why to each stage of the life cycle. Third, you need to be aware of governance, who needs to know what and when. And finally, the fourth and most advanced step, develop your judgment, so you instinctively know when to tighten a control or even when to simplify it.
And what does this actually look like on, say, a random Tuesday afternoon at Ibis? Well, it's about applying these principles to every single project stage. It's about giving the project board reports that are actually useful, not just the data dump. It means making sure your cost, schedule, and risk controls are all singing from the same hymn sheet. And most of all, it's about turning a spreadsheet of numbers into a clear story that helps people make the right call.
Okay, Jody's doing the work. She's applying the knowledge, but now comes the tricky part, proving it. For her apprenticeship, she has to collect evidence. This is where her coach, Olivia, steps in. Olivia is the guide for the next part of the quest, gathering powerful, undeniable evidence for her portfolio in APTM. And Olivia gives her the #1 golden rule for her portfolio. This is so important. Your evidence has to show applied understanding. It's not enough to just write down the definition of the project lifecycle. You have to show exactly how you use that knowledge to make a real difference on a real project. Theory is good, application is everything. So what does great evidence actually look like? Well, it could be a control plan you helped write, or maybe a reporting framework you worked on. A performance report is good, but a performance report where you've added your own commentary explaining what the numbers really mean, that's amazing.
And don't forget reflective analyses, where you break down a decision you were part of. Those are pure gold.
And listen, this quote is straight from the source. This is exactly what assessors are hunting for. They call it the golden thread. They want to see a clear, obvious link connecting the control principle you used, the stage the project was in, and how that helped the governance of the project. Generic descriptions just won't cut it.
Look at that. Jody has the knowledge, she's got the practical skills, and she knows how to gather the evidence. Now, she's standing before the final boss of her quest, the Endpoint Assessment, or EPA. This is her chance to shine in a professional discussion and prove she's mastered K2.
So, you're in the hot seat. The assessor leans in and asks you something just like this. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's a clever question designed to test the real depth of your K2 knowledge. They want to see if you can connect all the dots we've been talking about. So, how do you answer?
Want to know how to absolutely nail that answer and get a distinction? It's a simple 3-step formula. First, state the big principle, that control focus has to adapt. Second, contrast the different stages. Talk about baseline integrity early on versus forecasting accuracy later. And third, and this is the key part, link it all back to governance. Explain how doing this helps decision makers. Now here's what that looks like in practice. Just listen to this answer. It's concise, it's confident, and it hits all 3 of those key points we just talked about. See how it's not just reciting theory? It's showing a deep understanding of why this stuff is so important for the business. That is the level of clarity you're aiming for. And just like that, Jody has reached the end of her quest. She's navigated the theory with Adam, the practice with Riddle, the evidence with Olivia, and she's conquered the final assessment. But in doing all that, she didn't just gain knowledge. She's built an incredible professional toolkit that she can use for her entire career.
So let's take a look at the amazing toolkit you've just built by following along. You now have a map of the project lifecycle. You have the ability to truly support project governance. You've got the skill to create evidence that really proves your worth. And you have a framework for acing your EPA. But you know what the best tool is? It's the confidence you've built in your own professional judgment.
We've followed Jody's quest from apprentice all the way to professional. But now this story is about you. You've got the map, you've got the tools, you understand the principles inside and out. So the only question left to ask is, what project are you going to conquer next?